This is the weekly roundup here on the EAC Cambodia channel, your look back at the week that was in the Kingdom of Wonder. A very good evening to you. I'm Andrew Barnes-Roberts. We begin on Monday the 5th of July. Cambodia's total number of COVID-19 cases is now over 55,000. 896 new cases were reported on Monday, its lowest daily toll in almost a week. 28 deaths have also been reported in the past 24 hours, taking the total death toll to 748. The number of imported cases is also of growing concern. In just the past 24 hours, 210 have been reported. On Sunday, there were 214. While nationalities have not been released by the Ministry of Health, most are believed to be migrant workers returning home. The border provinces of Thedailyroundup and Ban Menche have collectively reported over 160 cases in the past 24 hours. The country's total number of imported cases now stands at 3,340, which have helped take the country's total COVID-19 case count to 55,187. 646 patient recoveries have been reported since Sunday, meaning the total number of patients treated successfully is now 47,386. The United Nations Development Programme has praised Cambodia as one of the leading countries in the world when it comes to the empowerment of persons with disabilities. The UNDP's country representative, Mr. Nick Beresford, says he's pleased to see how Cambodia's disability program has improved over time. He made the comments during Monday's meeting with Secretary of State in the Ministry of Social Affairs, Mr. Mchan Makara. The meeting was called to discuss how to improve the country's national disability program even further. Mr. Nick Beresford described Cambodia as a leader country, empowering persons with disabilities and ensuring that no one is being left behind. He said current COVID-19 restrictions in Cambodia did not mean that international collaboration had to stop. He says the UNDP will continue to support the royal government's activities for the disabled. Mr. Mchan Makara, whose Disability Action Council is also working towards a new disability law for Cambodia, says he's grateful for the UNDP's support and is looking forward to more projects that advance the needs of those living with disabilities. He says working with the UNDP is vital, especially at a time when persons with disabilities need as much awareness as possible on how to protect themselves against COVID-19. Persons with disabilities can now grab a chance to earn a living driving tuk-tuks. This has been made possible by the Australian-Cambodian organisation, the Agile Development Group. Its Australian founder and technical advisor, Mr. Ian Jones, has designed the Mobilituk. It's the world's first hand-controlled tuk-tuk, allowing people with lower limb impairments to be able to earn a living as a driver. EAC news reporter Reo Soko has the story.
The pandemic has made life hard for all of us, but most especially for people living with disabilities. But new tuk-tuk innovations made possible by the Agile Development Group are creating new opportunities for those wishing to make a living driving, as well as for those who just need to get around. Meet Mobilituk and Abilituk. Agile Development Group founder Mr. Ian Jones says the Mobilituk has a unique ramp at the rear to create easy access for people in wheelchairs. Abilituk is an all-hand-controlled tuk-tuk that enables people with lower limb disabilities to drive.
Remaining confident in their abilities. The community of people with disabilities in this country is incredible, incredibly strong and smart, and all we really do at Agile is help unlock that potential and capacity and opportunity.
One of the beneficiaries of these innovations is Chia Srenyang, who says the Abilituk has changed her life.
I sell pickled cabbage and dry meats at Tua Tampung Market, and I'm so very happy that this company has created this new training course related to digital learning and Pass App. This Pass App program is the first program in Cambodia. It has given me the chance to drive again as I am disabled. I'm so very happy that I can join this team.
24 of these mobility-tuks and ability-tuks are already on the country's roads. Mobility-tuk stands for mobility tuk-tuk. What we have here is ability-tuk. Normally, tuk-tuk drivers, they use their feet for the clutch and the brake, but this one is hand-controlled. This project gives the people with disabilities, especially women, to make a living they otherwise would not have had. Rhea Soko, EAC News, Phnom Penh.
He's become known as the Lion King of BKK1, and Chi Xiao now has his controversial pet back after the personal intervention of Prime Minister Hun Sen. Not only did the Prime Minister order that the Chinese national's pet be returned to him, but he also cancelled the $30,000 fine that had been imposed on Chi for keeping an endangered animal as a pet. Chi Xiao took to Facebook on Sunday night to express his deep gratitude. He also thanked social media users for rallying to his cause and for paving the way for 18-month-old Hema to return to BKK's Street 306. He was seized over a week ago by the authorities and the NGO Wildlife Alliance after someone filmed the lion in Chi's back garden. Hema, apparently in poor condition, was taken to the Phnom Tamau Rescue Centre. While this weekend's about turn has raised some eyebrows, the Prime Minister says this is a special case because the owner had raised the lion from a cub and had not smuggled the animal into the country. He has told Chi, though, that the young lion must now be kept in a proper enclosure. 1 million doses of Sinopharm vaccine bought from China touched down at Phnom Penh International Airport on Tuesday morning. Another 1 million doses will arrive on Saturday, along with 3 million doses of Sinovac. Prime Minister Hun Sen announced last week that next month a further 4 million doses will arrive. Those will take Cambodia's total vaccine doses to 20 million, enough to meet its target of inoculating 10 million adults by November. Tuesday's deliveries came as rapid response vaccine vans were handed over to the Defense Ministry. EAC News reporter Rhea Soko has the details.
Health Ministry spokeswoman Ms. Or Van Dien handed over 10 of the cold storage vans to the Defense Ministry on Monday. They'd been ordered by Prime Minister Hun Sen. The 10 so-called vaccine vans have been given to the Defense Ministry first, with military medics administering vaccines in the country's COVID-19 hotspots. More vans are to be dispatched to provincial officials in the coming weeks. Provinces with high populations will each receive 2 vans, with lower populated provinces each receiving 1. Ms. Van Dien says the country's vaccination plans have all been finalized. She says thanks to the swift delivery of vaccine doses, the country's inoculation drive was moving ahead faster than previously thought possible. Border provinces are now being treated as a priority, with Delta variant cases being detected in migrant workers. Banteay Menchay and Suai Ring are of major concern, with 105 and 112 new cases being reported there overnight, respectively. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
Kampot Governor Mr. Chiev Tai has ordered a total clampdown on the production and sale of illegal wine. He wants all establishments and facilities making wine illegally to be shut. The move follows the deaths of 12 people in Kampot's Kampong Trak district. EAC News' Rhea Soko reports.
Cambodia has been hit by a wave of wine poisoning deaths in recent weeks. Despite repeated warnings from local authorities, people have continued to produce and sell illegal wines made from a variety of fruits and rice. But the latest deaths in Kampot have now drawn a line. Kampot's provincial governor, Mr. Cho Tai, has instructed his district governors to shut down all illegal wineries. Beyond Kampot, 3 more people died in Kandal at the weekend, allegedly after drinking homemade wine. During May and June, at least 30 people died in similar incidents across the country. Authorities have again issued warnings about homemade wines which do not undergo any proper screening by health officials. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen has urged the world's political parties to stand united in the fight against the pandemic. He was speaking at Tuesday night's Leaders Summit hosted by China. The virtual conference was attended by more than 500 leaders of political parties and organizations representing over 160 countries. While urging global unity, the Prime Minister also thanked China for its contribution to Cambodia's socio-economic development, saying that Beijing was also helping strengthen the country's political independence and sovereignty. EAC News reporter Reo Soko has more.
The Prime Minister told the leaders of the world's political parties that small and poor countries need independence and sovereignty and must avoid external orders and interference. He thanked the Chinese Communist Party for its help in this regard, saying China's assistance in reducing poverty in Cambodia, as well as its contribution to economic development, was helping Cambodia strengthen political independence. Addressing the pandemic, the Prime Minister appealed to all political parties around the world to come together. He says international solidarity and cooperation, with strict respect for the sovereignty and independence of each nation, must be upheld. The Prime Minister says all political parties, regardless of their ideologies, must prioritize the interests of their nation and people and adopt a constructive spirit of cooperation, particularly when it comes to the equitable distribution of vaccines. On this point, he thanked China again for being such a reliable vaccine supplier, saying it had shown that, as the saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
Cambodia is celebrating the 13th anniversary of the declaration of Preah Vihear Temple as a World Heritage Site. Perched on a mountaintop on the border with Thailand, Preah Vihear is the highest temple in the country and is a source of national pride, having been at the center of the long-running and bitter ownership dispute with Thailand that was finally settled in Cambodia's favor in 2013. But even as Cambodia celebrates its heritage, it is having to fight to protect it yet again, as Rhea Soko reports.
It all exploded in social media this week with images of Thailand's Sihanoukvort Temple under construction. Pictures show a striking resemblance to the main silhouette of Angkor Wat, which adorns Cambodia's flag. Social media users were outraged, which prompted Cambodia's Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts to launch an investigation. It dispatched the Cambodian embassy in Thailand to find out more. The ministry has now clarified that the project being constructed in Buriram province is not going to be a copy of Angkor Wat. It says the temple is actually a Buddhist center and that its chief bishop has denied the replica claims, saying the design is drawn from other temples in the Thai province. He has invited Cambodian officials to visit the site if there is any doubt. The Cambodian government says the development will be closely monitored. This isn't the first time the country has had to act to protect its heritage. Diplomatic channels were used to shut down an Angkor replica in India in 2015. And just last year, a hotel owner in Thailand was forced to apologize and rebuild after copying elements of Angkor without permission. Angkor Wat is a World Heritage Site and as such cannot be replicated. Heritage sites in Cambodia, including temples and museums, play an important role in the lives of Khmer people. They tell them the story of who they are and what they have achieved. With other countries trying to follow Cambodia's popular heritage sites and temples, the country is uniting to say, enough is enough. Rhea Soko, EAC News, Phnom Penh.
A full-scale tightening of Cambodia's borders with Thailand is underway to guard against the deadly Delta variant of COVID-19. The Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Hun Manet, has ordered all troops and other officers along the border to strengthen the control of returning migrant workers. Monitoring and quarantine centers are being set up. Rapid tests are also being carried out on troops, medics, vaccination teams, and all other officials. With the 20 February community transmission event still wreaking havoc in Cambodia, an outbreak of the Delta variant would create a nightmare scenario. The Delta or Indian variant is by far the worst mutation of the original coronavirus that first appeared in Wuhan, China towards the end of 2019. It is over 50% more transmissible than the Alpha or UK variant, which is behind Cambodia's current second wave. Delta is also more likely to lead to hospitalization and death. So far, Cambodia has done well to protect itself from the Delta variant. As of Monday, the health ministry had detected only 24 cases, all of whom are migrant workers now in quarantine along the border. But the Delta variant is spreading rapidly in Thailand. Health officials there say there are already over 800 cases in Bangkok. It is less prevalent in other provinces, but is still accounting for over 5% of new COVID-19 cases. Also causing some concern is Cambodia's reliance on the Sinovac and Sinopharm vaccines. Both are World Health Organization approved, but there is little information available about just how effective they are against the Delta variant. Chinese researchers say the vaccines are somewhat effective in reducing the risk of severe COVID-19 by Delta. Dr. Zhong Nanshan, who was instrumental in China's first response to COVID-19, spoke to the Reuters news agency. He says current studies are only preliminary. Sinovac spokesperson Mr. Liu Peichang also told Reuters that the vaccine was 3 times less effective against Delta, but that a third booster shot showed a significant improvement. Cambodia is looking at rolling out that booster shot, but only after its adult population has been fully vaccinated with 2 doses of vaccine. As if we hadn't had enough of COVID-19, the World Health Organization is already hard at work preparing for the next pandemic. It is advising countries around the world to prepare for other outbreaks of possible zoonotic diseases. Like COVID-19, these are created when animal viruses come into contact with human ones. The warning comes after a major study into the consumption of wild animals in several countries. The WHO, the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, and the World Organization for Animal Health joined forces for the research. EAC news reporter Reo Soko has more.
Scientists say it's the growth of the human population and its consumption habits, which are the underlying causes of the emergence of new diseases. Foresight advisor for the World Organization for Animal Health, Ms. Tiana Brand, says a larger human population is driving higher levels of intensive food production, further driving the expansion of croplands, human settlements, and cities. This is disrupting natural ecosystems and increasing human encroachment into previously wild areas. Ms. Brand says there is a direct link between this phenomenon and Ebola. COVID-19 has also been traced back to humans eating bats. If the world is to avoid another zoonotic disease outbreak, researchers say countries need to work harder at managing species interaction and consumption. Team leader for the animal-human interface, Mr. Stéphane Delaroque, says that with COVID-19, every country needs to be able to implement best practices for the management of zoonotic diseases to respond quicker to future outbreaks. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
A massive sigh of relief in Templetown. Cambodia's hugely impressive vaccination drive has finally reached Siem Reap province, with the first shots going into arms on Friday. Siem Reap has become the country's 15th province to begin inoculating its residents, and it is a significant step forward. The provincial capital is seen as the key to unlocking a possible restart of international tourism later this year. The pandemic has decimated the sector in what is the jewel in Cambodia's tourism crown. The lights of Pub Street have been dark for months. The temples of Angkor eerily quiet. Over 80% of Siem Reap's hotels and restaurants have closed down in the past year. Many of the sector's workers have relocated to Phnom Penh. Former hotel staff are now making a living driving tuk-tuks in the capital. But with vaccinations come hope that Siem Reap will be teeming with fully vaccinated tourists before the end of the year. And not just Siem Reap. Phnom Penh has completed its vaccination drive. Health Ministry spokesperson Dr. Or Van Dien says 99.2% of the capital's residents have had at least 1 dose of vaccine. Over 75% of the city is fully vaccinated. It is hoped Phnom Penh will see a full reopening in the coming weeks, but that's going to depend on everyone playing their part and adhering to the ministry's preventative measures, even those who have been inoculated. Cambodia's Council of Ministers met online on Friday to discuss the kingdom's new investment law. The virtual meeting was chaired by Prime Minister Hun Sen, who says peace and stability are a priority if Cambodia is to attract more foreign investment. The draft law, the text for which has now been approved, aims to make it easier for investors in the kingdom with incentives for certain sectors and a higher degree of flexibility. EAC News reporter Reo Soko has the details.
The country's new investment law was first mooted back in 2015 as part of the royal government's Cambodian Industrial Development Policy document. Minister attached to the Prime Minister, Mr. Pai Sipan, says consultations have been held with representatives of the private sector and other stakeholders. He says the draft law on investment is designed to create an open, transparent, and predictable legal framework that attracts and promotes investment, both foreign and domestic. It's also being designed to be flexible with special incentives for specific sectors and those investments which contribute to national development. During Friday's meeting, Prime Minister Hun Sen said the law gives investors easy access to investing in the country. Critical to this, he says, is an environment of peace and stability that makes Cambodia an attractive prospect for potential investors, regardless of what he called the international situation in the field of trade politics. According to the Council for the Development of Cambodia, the first half of 2021 saw nearly $3 billion in investment across 87 projects that are creating over 50,000 jobs. The kingdom's biggest investors hail from China, South Korea, Vietnam, Japan, and Singapore. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
If you've got your annual visa extension coming up, best you take note. Gone are the days that a letter from your employer and registration on the FPCS app were enough. There's now a stack of other paperwork you need to take with you when applying. Passport, check. Current visa, check. Letter confirming employment, check. But you also now need a stamped copy of your employer's tax patent. A screenshot of your registration on the Foreigner Presence in Cambodia system is also now not enough. You need an actual printout from your landlord showing the full registration. There's also a new form to complete, asking you for all the information that's already in your passport, visa, and the FPSC app. Oh, and for good measure, yet another passport photograph. The good news is that the fees are still the same and the processing time remains 5 to 10 working days.
Prime Minister Hun Sen has warned the public residing in the border provinces between Cambodia and Thailand to be extra cautious with the Delta variant of COVID-19 cases increasing. He made the warning on Friday while chairing a virtual meeting of the Council of Ministers. The Prime Minister has specified that the border provinces must be monitored closely with migrant workers returning home, many of them testing positive for the Delta variant, which is 50% more transmissible than the Alpha variant, which is behind Cambodia's current second wave. The Prime Minister says although Delta variant cases are increasing, they are not spreading into the community. He says health authorities are managing to contain cases at quarantine and treatment centers at the border. He has also instructed all of Cambodia's ministries to secure stocks of rapid antigen tests so that these can be used quickly in the event of suspected direct or indirect exposure to a COVID-positive person.
EAC News fully supports the Royal Government of Cambodia's preventative and administrative measures against COVID-19. But we need you to play your part in helping bring the 20 February community transmission event to an end. Wash your hands regularly, sanitize wherever possible. Keep an eye on your body temperature. Use the Stop COVID QR code and maintain a safe social distance. But above all, please, please, please wear a mask. Only together can we beat COVID-19. EARTS Cambodia's audience is growing. Our YouTube channel now has 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube, given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EARTS Cambodia's hard work and incredible achievement. She says not only has EARTS Cambodia brought a unique voice and style to the world, but has also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to www.youtube.com/EARTS Cambodia. Subscribers get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. We'll see you there. If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of EARTS Cambodia's platforms and channels. YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eartscambodia.com. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
The countdown to Sunday's final at Euro 2020 is underway, and the semi-finals will be played on Wednesday and Thursday. Spain, Italy, Denmark and England are the final 4 teams in the competition after this weekend's quarter-finals. Spain became the first team to book their place in the semi-finals on Friday. La Roja beat Switzerland in a chaotic penalty shootout following a 1-1 draw. They'll face Italy after the Azzurri dispatched top-ranked Belgium, and they look in fearsome form with a winning streak of 32 matches. On Saturday, it was Denmark who then booked their place in the Euro 2020 semi-finals with a 2-1 win over the Czech Republic. They'll face the bookies' favourites England, who smashed Ukraine 4-0. Both semi-finals and Sunday's final are to be played at London's iconic Wembley Stadium and will be streamed live at your favourite watering hole in Cambodia. After a month-long break, the Cambodian League is back in action, and Bongket Football Club is looking good. They picked up their second straight win in the C League after beating Prey Bang FC over the weekend. They'll be wanting to capitalize on that win this coming Saturday when they take on Kiribon Sok Senchei. The capital's favorite team is lying in 8th position with 6 points. They're determined to climb up the table and repeat the brilliant season they had last year, which saw them winning the league unbeaten. The C League resumed on Saturday after a month-long break, and Bongket wasted little time in stating their intentions. Striker Chav Vatanaka netted a hat-trick, leading the defending champions to a 3-1 win over Prey Bang. In the weekend's other game, Visaka held Nagaward to a 2-all draw and is now third with 9 points. The game between Saltillo Anchor and National Police Commissary had to be postponed after one of the Saltillo's players tested positive for COVID-19. It's an action-packed weekend coming up, with Bongket against Kiribon Sok Senchei on Saturday and Angkor Tiger playing Electricity du Cambodge on Sunday. Angkor Tiger is currently top of the table with 13 points. Despite the raging pandemic, fear of infection, and closed down locations, Cambodia is still managing to attract tourists, both domestic and international, as it eyes a reopening of borders later this year. The country played host to almost 75,000 tourists in the first weekend of July. Minister of Tourism, Mr. Tong Kong, says 73,000 international travelers and 1,100 domestic tourists enjoyed Cambodia's sunny beaches, forested mountains, temples, and cities. The data shows that it is the capital that remains the chief destination, with more than 50,000 visitors. The beaches and islands of Sialongville were the second most popular, with Battambang third. The numbers seem impressive, but are 60% down on July 2020. Cambodia's tourism industry has been dramatically affected by the pandemic. In 2019, it accounted for 12% of the country's GDP, with 6 million tourists. In 2020, those figures slumped to 3% with just 1.1 million visitors. But things are looking up. Government is looking on a plan to start welcoming fully vaccinated tourists from the fourth quarters of this year, with its inoculating progress way ahead of its main tourist rivals, Thailand and Vietnam. It's England versus Italy at the final of Euro 2020. The Three Lions beat Denmark in Wednesday night's nail-biting semi-final at Wembley. It was a gripping encounter. 1-1 after full-time, with England captain Harry Kane scoring a penalty in extra time to seal the dramatic 2-1 win. It means England advanced to their first major final since winning the World Cup way back in 1966. The British government allowed 60,000 fans to pack into Wembley Stadium for the semi-final, and those lucky enough to get their hands on the tickets experienced an atmosphere like no other. The final will be also played at Wembley Stadium, and the Three Lions are the bookmakers' favourites. Kickoff will be at 2 a.m. Cambodian time on Monday morning. You just have 2 more sleeps before the biggest day in football since the 2018 World Cup. On Sunday night, Monday morning here in Cambodia, England will take on Italy in the final of Euro 2020. The atmosphere is electric, and football supporters in Cambodia are busy getting organized to enjoy the big game. If you are in Phnom Penh and want to enjoy the final in good company, there are few places that will be streaming the match live. Score Bar on Street 282 has been hugely popular during the tournament with its big screens. They told EAC News that they are going to have a special promotion with seafood and a Corona beer for $5. In the same part of town, Duplex Bar is promising to quench your thirst with $1 beer all night long. In London, where the final is going to take place, over 60,000 fans are expected at Wembley Stadium. The Euro 2020 decider is sold out, but fans have been trying to buy tickets through resale websites. Prices have skyrocketed, going up from the original $95 to over $4,000 when England reached the final. Kickoff, local time, is 2 a.m. on Monday. The most beautiful women in the kingdom are all hard at work preparing for Miss Universe Cambodia 2021. The competition will be staged in December, with a winner to represent Cambodia at Miss Universe International next year. Cambodia's reigning beauty queen is Sarita Ret, and judging by her example, the competition isn't just about a pretty face. This year sees the 5th edition of Miss Universe Cambodia, and there's already plenty of excitement on social media, with supporters beginning to gather around their favorites. While one might think that it is all a bit frivolous, there is more to this beauty pageant than meets the eye. Contestants have to demonstrate different skills, so months of training goes in. Not just the gym, but also in the studio. 2020 winner Sarita performed the Khmer martial art Bokator on stage. She represented Cambodia at Miss Universe International in Hollywood in May, and told EAC News that she's now enjoying a well-deserved holiday. EAC News also spoke to one of this year's hopefuls, Son Sinet, who told us that the dream is to be a good example for Cambodia's women. She's not short on talent. Apart from cooking and dancing, she's also a boxer and a personal trainer, who's planning to perform the traditional Khmer dance Robam Chum Po on stage in December.
Thank you for watching the weekly roundup here on the EART's Cambodia channel. More from the EAC news team in the Daily Roundup, Monday night at 8. I'll see you then.